call us, email us, tweet, or Facebook us. This is such a big issue, and we need to hear your voice.
All right, we are back looking at the euthanasia debate in Canada, and we've had a feisty studio audience time during the break. Sheldon, Neil, what are we finding?
And feisty is definitely correct, Lauren, and we're going to start with this gentleman first.
Yeah, I'd like to actually preface my remarks by saying that I come at this issue on the fence, but I did feel that the language in the early section had already almost felt as if it prejudged the issue, because we were using words like killing, and that's a very emotionally charged word, obviously, and with all of the connotations of murder associated with it. And you know, have we already decided what the answer is my question, or is this a real debate?
Okay, thank you. And fair comments from our audience. So we're going to continue this conversation on how best to care for the dying with the father of palliative care in Canada, Dr. Balfour Mount. And we're also joined by Dr. Robert Patterson, a thanatologist. You know, Robert, you better tell us, first of all, what a thanatologist is.
A thanatologist is someone who works in the area of thanatology. Thanatos was the Greek god of non-violent death. So someone who is involved in thanatology is looking at the mechanisms surrounding the death and dying, surrounding the physical, the social, and the spiritual elements of death.
All right, okay, and Dr. Mount, you heard the studio audience give us a little slap on the wrist because we're not staying open-minded enough about this. And I purposely chose to use the word killing because at the end of the day, Quebec's new legislation, what's being asked for out of British Columbia as well, it's not killing ourselves. We have free suicide in Canada, that's legal. But someone's gonna have to kill me, right? And is that not what it is, killing?
I think, and with all due respect, sister, in a secular society, I personally have to have a reason that goes beyond whatever my personal religious or spiritual convictions are, that works for all of society. The reason we shouldn't, Lorna, in my view, have euthanasia is because it puts at risk the most vulnerable among us.
I want to interject here because you did tell us that the sister has to go beyond Jesus. This has got to be a bigger argument than a religious one. But Rob, you have tracked what happened when we moved from being religious about death and its rules and its methods. Now we've gone technological about death. This is a medical thing now. What have we lost in doing that?
Particularly with our medical world, we have the best physicians and hospitals in the world in Canada. And what's happened is we've sort of boiled down the argument to life is good and death is bad. And particularly in the medical community, physicians are at war against sickness and illness and death. And so death has become an enemy. And we've lost the transcendence of death. We've lost meaning in death, whereas death is a failure.
The religious story is that there is an elevation about the human spirit. Is there another argument on Dr. Mount on, well, a dog can be put out of suffering, why can't a human?
I think a human can be come up to our ward any time. The question is, why isn't that available across Canada?
And why isn't it? It's not 100% access to palliative care, good palliative care.
Yeah, but because there's lip service paid, ask Stephen Harper that.
We have the ability to say no treatment, no heroic measures, and withholding treatment. That's our right. Mm-hmm. And can families understand the breadth of the communication of that?
Communication is a key word in dealing with death, and another key word is compassion. And I feel great compassion for our physicians, for Dr. Mount, and for those who deal with those who are in palliative care, those who are sick and dying. And we need to communicate with physicians. Physicians give compassion. Compassion means with passion, with suffering. So our physicians, we want a compassionate physician. Well, a compassionate physician is one who engages in your suffering with you, who journeys with you through your healing or into your death. And so we need to communicate with our physicians. We need to communicate with our family and those around us that we do have euthanasia. Euthanasia meaning a good death.
Okay. Both of you, we're going to end this segment. Dr. Mount, you have sat at the bedside of thousands, and your view, your studies, your pioneering in Canada is of inestimable worth in this debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Dr. Pattison, I want to bring you back for another moment on the religious view. So when we come back, why Christians are so convinced death is not the end, the view beyond the euthanasia debate, next. Now we're back with some closing thoughts on euthanasia with Dr. Rob Pattison. The meaning of the word euthanasia, good death.
Yes.
Right? It holds the same root as the word Eucharist. And I'd like us to put that dichotomy right out in the open. What does the Eucharist, the death of Christ, have to do with euthanasia? What does it? How can the two have a conversation?
Well, the word Eucharist means a good hope or a good gift. And the Eucharist, the life of Christ, his life, his death, his resurrection, it changes our perspective on how we live. And I believe it profoundly affects our perspective on how we die. I believe in a good death.
So many Christians say they believe that, but we're lockstep with everyone else that we don't want to suffer and we want to live on earth as long as possible. Why are we so reluctant to enter the discovery of what salvation means, Eucharist, literally in the life after here?
So the fear of death, I think I can understand for those who believe and those who don't believe. There is the unknown, but the faith, our faith in Christ transforms death, and it takes away the fear. Really, death is about love. It's about compassion. It's about being with God and where we belong.
All right. Dr. Rob Pattison, thank you very much. And that is my editorial spin on this very complicated debate about euthanasia. We do love to know your thoughts. And for all of us at Context, I'm Lorna Duick. Thanks for watching. Join us next week as we explore life beyond the headlines.